And good evening and welcome to another episode of Lincoln City Matchday Live. Great to have your company with us this evening. The Imps, of course, looking to bounce back after defeat at Doncaster at the Keepmoat Stadium at the weekend. A win tonight, though, and they could return to the summit of the League One table. Fingers crossed indeed. On tonight's show, of course, we'll be hearing from both sets of managers, Michael Appleton and Kenny Jackett as well. Want to hear your thoughts this evening, where you're watching Matchday Live, and of course the game on iFollow from tonight. And do get your questions and comments in. Let us know your score predictions and score predictions, of course. We will also be speaking to one of the Lincoln City players of the season so far live, so do stay tuned for that later on. Of course, Gary Hutchinson joins me as ever from his staying in bar. Gary, nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well, Sam. Parky tonight, isn't it? A bit cold.
No, it certainly is. In terms of the news over the weekend, first of all, how relieved were you to hear that the FL will continue during what is going to be a lockdown over the next month or so?
Absolutely delighted. I think we need some continuity, some normality in life as football fans. I think we spoke on the show on Saturday about people's mental health and well-being, and we need that focus. It's also positive for the club as well. We don't want the season curtailed early. We don't want fixture pile-ups, which will impact us further in the season. So I'm incredibly relieved to hear the news.
Yeah, certainly so. Good news indeed, and fingers crossed that news stays over the course of the month and long after that as well. Gary, in terms of tonight's game, then I think it was only 10 days ago or so that I asked you, was Ipswich the biggest game of Lincoln City's season so far? I'll ask you that question once again tonight, because a side just as big as Ipswich in Portsmouth coming to the LNER Stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a former manager of ours once said the most important game is always the next one. And I think he's quite right. You know, it would be nice to get back on the horse quickly, so to speak, with a result tonight. It's a very difficult game, and I do think get this one out of the way, and then we've got kind of two cup games either side of Gillingham. It's a chance maybe to let some of the main players get a little bit of a rest and recuperation. So it'd be nice to kind of go out from this little run with a point or 3 points this evening, certainly.
Good to see the comments flying in already. Chris says, afternoon, Sam and Gaz. Gutted we're not going to be there tonight, but really looking forward to this one. Could be an absolute cracker, and hopefully Appleton will have them fired up for this. I'm sure he will, Chris. Great to hear from you this evening. John Mack says, I love you, you Imps, 3-1. Not sure if he says, I love you, Sam and Gary. I think he's referring to the football club there, but good to hear from you, John. And Gordon says, this is the best preview show regarding the Imps. It just keeps giving. Nice to hear from you, Gordon. No, we didn't pay Gordon to say that. Gary, in terms of the weekend's game, then let's get that out of the way then. Let's have a look at what happened in it. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a disappointing result. I thought Doncaster were probably the best side we've played all season. When they attacked with pace. We see there, I think Josh Sims just putting the ball wide. He's on loan from Southampton. They posed some questions that we struggled to answer. Aside from the wonder goal, I do think it had 0-0 written all over it. I was quite impressed here with Brennan Johnson. I thought, to be honest, Sam, I thought he was probably our biggest goal threat. And obviously Tom Hopper there, a bit of criticism that he was arriving late in the box, but he's a defensive striker, so to speak. And part of the clean sheets is the fact that all 11 players work together. So,
and if you're going to lose a game by a goal, that's the goal to lose to, isn't it? I guess it was some finish.
Yeah, it's hard as a football fan, because when I see a beautiful goal, I want to applaud it. But when it comes against Lincoln, it always stings a little bit. But sometimes you do have to just give a player their due. And look, it could have been more. They got in a couple of times down the right-hand side. Alex Palmer there pulling off a good save. Give Teo Eden a really tough afternoon. I didn't think he played particularly badly. But it just goes to show what a pacey forward line can do. Look, we've got the same going forward again here in Brennan Johnson, pace and direct running. That's what successful sides in League One have. So we just need to make sure that we're hitting the target, because again, that game could have gone either way.
Yeah, you'll expect them to be up there come the end of the season, Doncaster, won't you, Gary?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think, when you look at some of the quality players that they've got, I mean, Ben Whiteman, who scored the goal I called out on the preview show, arguably the best central midfielder in this division. They've still got Tyrese John-Jules and Rayan Tulloch to come back in from injury, and Madja Gomez as well. I think they'll be right up there this season.
Okay, let's now hear the thoughts of Michael Appleton speaking after that game at the Keepmoat Stadium to BBC Radio Lincolnshire's Michael Horton.
From what I understand, he shinned him. It looked like a wonder goal to us. That was really the difference today, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've just been saying there. I just thought we were second best in certain areas today, if I'm being honest. What I mean by that is we just lacked a little bit of sharpness in the right areas of the pitch. I thought we could have been better in our final third in terms of defending, defensive third, in terms of stopping crosses, etc. I think in previous games we've been a little bit sharper. We've not allowed the ball to come in our box as easy. And then I think the early part of the game, first 10-15 minutes, we got some great opportunities, got in some great areas, and we either took an extra touch or passed when we should have shot when we should have passed. Which a lot of times when you look back at that and you look into that a little bit, it becomes, more of a mental one. It's like, are we sharp enough between the eyes really to make the right decision? So I can't fault their effort. Although what I would say is in terms of, like I just said, second balls, getting onto things, I just thought we were second best.
It also felt like in the second half maybe the message was to try and hurry them up a bit in possession as well. You obviously weren't being broken down that much by them first half, but it felt like you were trying to hurry up the Dundee team a little bit as well.
Well, we changed the shape at half time, and we had to change the shape a little bit to try and get us to pass forward a little bit quicker. We put Brennan in behind Tom Hopper and went to almost like a flat four in midfield. Listen, we were miles better second half, don't get me wrong, but I'd expect us to be if we're a goal down. We're the team chasing the game. Sometimes you can go behind in games and you go, right, okay, fantastic bit of play. And to be fair, obviously it was a decent little bit of play. They got a little bit of luck. If he shinned it, good luck to him, fair play. It looked a great finish to me. But I just think in terms of if you're going to go behind in game, make the opposition work really, really hard to go ahead in the game. So I didn't think we did that today. Like I say, I have to give the lads credit for the way they performed in the second half because they had a right go. But again, like I say, we weren't really that clinical in the final third.
I was going to say, not too many clear-cut chances today, really.
No, I thought they defended well, though. I thought they got bodies behind the ball in that second half. They defended a lot deeper. We had a lot more possession in the second half, and they allowed us to come onto them. So sometimes it is hard to get them really clinical chances. If it's 0-0, they probably have to come at us a little bit more, being the home team, and we open them up a little bit because they had something to hold on to. We had to work really, really hard to get the ball in good positions, and we did at times, but then obviously, like I say, it was hard to break them down because they had so many bodies behind the ball.
I thought one of the compliments today was their celebrations at the end, which is understandable that from their point of view, they've beaten the leaders at the start of the day, and I thought that was actually a compliment in some ways to your team, that they were so pleased.
Yeah, and to be fair, they put a shift in, for Darren and Jamie, and they're a good side. Obviously, they're on the back of a couple of defeats of late, but I've seen them put 4 past Bristol Rovers not too long ago and 4 past Ipswich, so we knew they were a dangerous side, and on any given day that they can perform, and they were at it today, and I think we were at it, but we just weren't at it as much as they were.
Yeah, hard to argue with any of that, isn't it, Gary? He seems fairly philosophical. You'd expect that because it wasn't a terrible performance by any stretch. And as we alluded to before, they've lost to a decent team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the last comment there sums it up, that we were at it. They were just at it more than us. As I said before, the VT there, they've got some great players. They attack with pace. And when they got a lead, they defended it well. They're all the hallmarks of our side of the previous sort of 6 or 7 games. So, it was very much like for like. It pains me to say it. I think it was the right result. I think the best team on the night won. You can't get too disheartened. Football teams lose games and will lose more this season.
Gerard says, watching and supporting proudly from USA, Imps official fan headquarters at Darcy's Tavern, Bradley Beach, NJ, USA. I should probably know what NJ stands for, but this is live TV and I haven't done my homework clearly. But great to have you with us, Gerard. Big night, of course, in the States as well. You'll notice, Lincoln City fans, that there was no Joe Walsh in the starting 11 for Lincoln City. If you're wondering what's happened to him, Michael Appleton had an update for Michael Horton speaking after the game at the Keepmoat.
Obviously, really unfortunate for Joe and for everybody, because obviously no coincidence. Obviously, the last 4 games that he's played, we've kept clean sheets, and he's been like a Rolls Royce for us at the back there. And obviously, with him being left-sided as well, gives us a balance. Unfortunately, he picked up an injury towards the end of the Crewe game, which he was able to carry on with, and it looks, well, he's had this scan and he's had a tear in his meniscus, so he's with the surgeon on Tuesday, and he will go under the knife. Obviously, we'll just have to wait to see how long that's going to be, but it certainly won't be any less than 6 weeks. That's an absolute cert.
Richard and Paul and Gordon as well says it's New Jersey. Yeah, of course it's New Jersey. Should have known that. I've been there as well. No excuses. Gary, how much of a blow is it that we don't have Joe Walsh with us for the next few weeks?
It is, and it isn't. It is a blow because he's been a key player for us. We kept 4 clean sheets. As Michael says, he's a Rolls Royce of a defender. Very assured, very calm, great positional awareness. But at the same time, we do have cover. And when you look at the players that we could play at centre-back, Adam Jackson, Lewis Montsma, TJ Ioma, Sean Rowan, Max Melbourne, who I believe is closing in on a return as well. So there's 5 players that could play centre-back. Max Melbourne is naturally left-sided. So it would be more of a blow to lose, for instance, Tom Hopper and not have a striker or not have a number 9. But that's not doing Joe a disservice because he's been superb for us. And when you lose a top-quality player, you're always going to feel it a little bit.
Easy to forget as well that it was only a month ago or so that Sean Rowan and TJ played at centre half and played excellently, considering that that's not either of their specific positions, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, it's not where they're playing for us in the first team. I think if you were to probably speak to Sean and TJ, they would both say that they are centre-backs. And I think Michael long-term sees them playing centre-back as well. So that just kind of digs deeper into that flexibility that we have, not just across the back, but all over the field. So there's certainly options. I think probably longer term, Sean Rowan certainly looks like a natural centre back. But at the moment, I expect both of those to remain at fullback, aside from if there are unfortunate injuries.
A couple of housekeeping pieces of news, Gary, before we go live to Alan Long at the LNER Stadium. Alex Bradley out on loan. Just quickly, your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, no surprise. He's been on the fringes. I think Michael would like him to go away and get some first-team football. He's in Jordan Adebayo-Smith territory now. He's got to go there, prove himself as worthy of a first-team place in the National League, and he can use that as a springboard. And
Tom Pett, Stevenage announcing only a couple of hours ago that he's signed back for his old club. Stevenage fans seem delighted with that, and judging by the reaction on Twitter, Lincoln fans are pleased for Tom as well. Great to see him get a good move.
Yeah, Tom's a lovely lad. I thought he was going to launch a career as a FIFA professional. He seems to be doing very well in those weekend leagues. But yeah, he's a lovely bloke. I think League Two is probably a good level for him, and I think he'll have a big impact at Stevenage. Good stuff. Right, we are just about approaching 6 o'clock. In fact, the clock has just struck 6, which means we can now officially go to Alan Long at the LNER Stadium pitch side with this evening's team news to face Portsmouth.
Yeah, thanks, Sam, and welcome to the LNER Stadium, as always, for this afternoon's or this evening's game against Portsmouth. We've got the teams hot off the press, so I'll start off with our visitors from Pompey. In goal is number 1, Craig McGillivray. At 2 is Callum Johnson. 3, Lee Brown. At 4 is Tom Naylor. 7, Ryan Williams. 9, John Marquis. 11, Ronan Curtis. Andy Cannon is at 14. 15 is Rasmus Nikolaisen. 19, Marcus Harness, and a name we all remember at number 20, Sean Raggett. On the bench for Portsmouth, number 35, Alex Bass. Number 8, Ben Close. Number 10, Ellis Harrison. Bryn Morris is at 17. 23 is Cameron Pring. Geordie Huwala is at 26. And 37 is Haji Noga. Right, here we go with tonight's Imps lineup. There's a couple of changes. Anthony Scully and Robbie Gotts comes in for his debut. So, at number 1 is Alex Palmer. At 5, Adam Jackson. 8, James Jones. Number 9, Tom Hopper. 10, George Grant. Number 11 is Anthony Scully. Conor McGrandles is at 18. 20, Brennan Johnson. TJ Ioma is at 22. 24, Robbie Gotts, as I say, making his debut. And at 30, a return to Sean Rowan. On the bench for the Imps tonight, 29, Ethan Ross. Number 3, Max Melbourne. Number 7, Teo Eden. Number 14, Theo Archibald. 17, Remy Howard. 25 is Zach Elbazetti. And 26, Harry Anderson. Tonight's referee is Carl Brook. The assistants, Christopher Ward and Kenwyn Hughes. And Gareth Miller is the 4th official. So, Sam, back to you.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed, Al. Gary, I'll get straight to your reaction for that then. No Lewis Montsma for the Imps tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be a big blow. Obviously, I was just saying I imagine TJ Ioma playing right back. It looks like I've been called out early on that. Almost certainly playing centre back. Leeds fans will be delighted to see Robbie Gotts in. I saw quite a bit of social media criticism from some of them at the weekend saying that his loan was pointless. So he's now got a chance to prove himself. Sean Rowan in as well. That's an interesting one. Portsmouth got lots of pace in their attack. I thought Teo Eden had a tough afternoon against John Taylor. So great chance for Sean Rowan. And look, up front, Anthony Scully is a live wire. He's one that you never quite know what he's going to do. Doesn't surprise me to see Harry rested because he's run himself into the ground in recent weeks. So it's a great chance for Anthony Scully. And remember, he had a good goal scoring record before he started coming late off the bench. He's got a couple this season already. Him and Johnson on the flanks, that's an unpredictable pairing either side of Tom Hopper. So certainly an interesting lineup for the Imps this evening.
Yeah, just on Anthony. I mean, when he came to the club, I guess he will have expected in one sense. I know no player expects to start, so they don't bank on it. But he would have given himself a good opportunity really to start, wouldn't he? He's been unlucky really that I guess Harry Anderson has performed so well, and then Brennan Johnson has come in and just looked brilliant on the other side as well. So tonight is a huge opportunity for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's not forget he scored our opening goal of the league campaign against Oxford. I think he's got a habit of popping up all over the place, and perhaps that's partly his downfall as well, that it's hard to pigeonhole him. Is he a number 9? Maybe not. Is he a 10? Potentially. Is he a right winger? So it's hard for him to kind of define himself, but he needs minutes to do that. So starting tonight's game, certainly against arguably one of the better teams in the league, which we say every week, is a wonderful opportunity for him.
You mentioned Robbie Gotts before. In terms of playing style, what can we expect from him this evening?
I certainly expect a lot of energy from Gotts being a youngster. The other thing I expect is good technique and playing football the right way. He's come up through Bielsa's Leeds. He was highly rated by the under-23 manager that went to Huddersfield, whose name escapes me and I probably couldn't pronounce anyway. So he's had a great footballing upbringing. He's going to fit right in terms of our ethos, in terms of the culture of our play as well. He's also going to be really eager to prove himself. 37 times, I think he was on the bench for Leeds. I would imagine he's got sick of watching the game from the sidelines. A good performance tonight, and he's going to put himself right in contention for a regular place here.
Yeah, certainly so. Great stuff, Guy. We'll come back to you shortly. Thanks for your thoughts so far. So no Lewis Montsma, as we know. A blow for the Imps tonight. The good news is that means that we can speak to him now. Lewis joins us from the LNER Stadium media room. Lewis, great to see you. First of all, how's what's the situation this evening in terms of why you're not playing?
Yeah, it's my groin tonight. I felt it after the game against Ipswich. I played with it against Crewe and Doncaster, but it's not too bad. Only it got worse after the 2 games, so it's just the right time to step out and just recover a bit.
Good stuff. So nothing too serious then. That's good news. Lincoln City fans will be relieved to know that, no doubt. Obvious question, but do tell us how you're settling into life at Lincoln City.
Yeah, it's great actually. It's well, we're doing better than I expected. I think than everybody expected. So that's great. Yeah, everybody's been good to me, like the staff, the players. I like the city, the fans. So everything's been great so far.
It is a big move, isn't it? Coming over from Holland. Just tell us about that, because for a young player, I guess a lot of players at your age would probably opt to stay in your home country, but you've made what we would maybe say is a little bit of a gamble, but it's clearly paying off.
Yeah, of course. But I always wanted to play in England, so that's one of my that was always a dream for me. And after a few games at Dordrecht, Lincoln picked me up. And I was amazed to hear from them. So it was great to get here in Lincoln.
6 goals, as I'm sure you certainly know so far this season. Do tell us the goal scoring centre back secret.
No, the secret I'm going to keep for myself. No,
Good idea.
No, yeah, I don't know. It just the headers. If I'm in the box, I just attack the ball. Attacking as well as defending, so I think that's a great aspect to have, and obviously the great passes from Grant. So yeah.
Are you aware just how happy you've made a lot of Lincoln City fans by consistently scoring as well? Because in terms of the betting market and the odds, that a lot of Lincoln fans have been able to make a nice little bit of money from you scoring. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I've heard about that, and I got a lot of texts and messages about betting on me. But unfortunately, it stopped a few games ago. So, but I hope I'll be scoring some more when I play again.
I know you've said before that you've seen some videos of the 617 squadron. You've seen videos of fans celebrating, fans in the streets and everything like that. How much are you looking forward to eventually the fans coming back and playing in front of what is quite an atmospheric LNER stadium?
Yeah, I can't wait. And I can't even imagine how great they are and how it is to play in front of them. So I hope they can come back soon in the stadium. But unfortunately, the COVID situation is not very well. It's not doing very well. So we'll just have to see. And yeah, in the meantime, I just hope to get good results with the team.
Yeah. In terms of playing targets for this season, Lewis, then it has been quite an exceptional start from your side. Are the squad looking, I guess it would be difficult to look too far ahead, but for you, what are the targets?
I think playoffs is a good target to get. And yeah, everything from there, everything higher up. I think playoffs is the thing we can reach.
You're just about breaking up on the Wi-Fi. Hopefully we get one more question out of you. It would be silly of me not to ask you, although I know you've been asked many times. You're probably sick of talking about it. What is it like juggling male modelling between that and a football career? Come on, do tell us.
I'm not modeling anymore. I did it my first year of Dordrecht, and it was all right. I missed only one training to do like the Burberry show, but it's I stopped after and just fully focus on football.
Well, good stuff. Great to see you tonight, Lewis. We, of course, certainly hope to see you back on the pitch very soon. Fingers crossed it doesn't sound too serious, which is great news. And keep up the excellent form and look forward to seeing you scoring a few more goals soon.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Thank you. Great.
That's Lewis Montsma there. Great to hear the thoughts of Lewis. Not involved this evening, but as he says, it's a groin injury, but it doesn't seem too serious, which I'm sure Lincoln City fans will be relieved to know. Gary, bring you back into the conversation then. He looks thoroughly delighted to be a Lincoln player, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, but it's what he says that really interests me the most, where he says, well, doesn't do the modelling and focused on football. I always wanted to play in England. I mean, comes across as a very driven young man, a very focused young man. And from what I've heard around the training ground, that's the case as well. He's settled in very well. He's a massive asset to the football club, and he's certainly got the right attitude about him.
Yeah, I mean, good news as well, isn't it, that it's not serious, because you just don't know. When we're checking that team news there and you see no Lewis Montsma, you think, well, anything could have happened. It could have been a knock in training, and before you know it, he's out until the end of the season. But fingers crossed, it doesn't seem like that's the case.
Yeah, and what a testament that is to his ability as well. That when he first came over, I think people were wondering, would he take a while to settle? Is it going to be kind of Walsh and Jackson, and we're going to ease this young man in from Europe? And he's quickly kind of ascended to be one of our key players. Obviously, his goals have really endeared him to supporters, but he's got such good ball control. He dribbles with purpose. His passing has been first rate as well. I think he's got a huge future, and I think the fact that we're kind of taking a deep breath when we see that he's not on the team sheet, and this is 10, 12 games into his Lincoln City career, really says what a find he is, and credit to Jez George and Michael Appleton for making it happen.
Certainly so. Let me remind you of tonight's Lincoln City starting 11 then, if we can bring the graphic back in. It is Alex Palmer in goal. Robbie Gotts makes his debut for the Imps, and it's TJ Ioma, Adam Jackson, Sean Rowan, and then it's that familiar mid three, I should say, of George Grant, Conor McGrandles and James Jones. Then it's Brennan Johnson. Anthony Scully comes into the starting 11, and Tom Hopper is up front. It is then Ethan Ross, Max Melbourne, Tayo Eden, Theo Archibald, Remy Howarth, Zach Elbazedi, and Harry Anderson is dropped to the bench, given a well-deserved rest as well. So that is the Lincoln City starting 11. Tom Hopper is a name that I mentioned there. This is what he had to say, speaking at the SOPA EPC earlier on this week.
I mean, Portsmouth are everything you expect, I think, every year. They're going to be strong, physical. They'll be right up there towards the end of the season. they've got talent throughout. So it'll be a real tough fixture for us. But one we're obviously looking forward to off the back of defeat on Saturday. It's one where we can now show a good reaction and try and put things right for Saturday.
So I just want to go back to last Tuesday's game against Crewe. The manager made a bit of a joke about your frustration of not putting a couple of the chances away. But I guess for you as a striker, it's about being in those positions, and you'd rather have those opportunities than not be having any at all.
Yeah, no, like you just said there, the thing is, I think as a striker, you're going to get judged on your goals ultimately. But for me, it's just for some reason it's just not getting at the moment. But like you said, I've got to keep getting in those positions. We're luckily I'm in a team that creates lots of chances, and also the boys have been scoring all throughout the team, so it's not been too costly at the moment. But, there's obviously going to come a time where I need to step up, and hopefully I just need one to come in off anything at the moment, and then I think I'll get on a bit of a run, which would be nice.
Is it sometimes a bit like when a free kick taker struggles with their free kicks, they stay behind after training to get that confidence back and to get that process right? Do you do the same as a striker where you're asking for that little bit of time at the end of training for crosses to come in and you just put them in just to give you that bit of a boost?
I don't know. I think it can be a bit of a double-edged sword. If you sort of get into the mind frame of overthinking it too much, and then you really are sort of putting even extra pressure on yourself. Because I back myself to score goals regardless. So I think it's just a case of keep doing the right things over and over again, and and it'll pay off.
Yeah, Tom Hopper speaking to BBC Radio Lincolnshire's Rob Makepeace. Gary, interesting what Rob asked him there about staying behind after training, but it would seem that he knows the process, Tom.
Yeah, I think it'd be easy to stay behind and kind of just keep putting balls into an empty net. It's very, very different in a match situation. He was desperately unlucky against Crewe. I mean, I thought his header that hit the base of the post was inch perfect, bar the fact it didn't go in. I mean, that sounds silly, but, he put it down away from the keeper. And then following in from Brennan Johnson's effort as well, he did everything right, and it was a great save from the keeper. Tom's a really hard-working striker, and he does an awful lot of work outside the box. Which kind of probably sometimes leaves him at a bit of a disadvantage. He's not a Gary Lineker type of striker who'll just stand around waiting for the ball to come to him, so to speak. And I think that probably reflects in his goal tally at the moment. But it will come, and when he gets one, I think he'll get 2 or 3 and go on a little run, and he'll get his confidence back.
Yeah, interesting, won't it, to see how Anthony Scully goes up alongside Tom as well, Gary?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I think the thought process behind that is that obviously Sean Raggett, good defender, but potentially might not like the pace of Johnson or Scully, who's also quick. And they've got the young lad who's come in at the side of him, whose name escapes me, who's making his debut today. So it's a new look centre-back pairing for them as well. Now, if you can get Hopper isolating Raggett or taking Raggett out in the physical battle, you've then got 2 very quick players looking to run the channels against a debutant for Portsmouth, which could cause them problems. Scully's very direct. He asks questions, probably better just in the channels and running into the 18-yard box centrally than Harry, who's more of a wide player. So I think it'll be a little bit of a change of emphasis on the way that we attack in the final third.
Good stuff, Gary. Okay, well, we've chatted a lot about the Imps in the first half an hour of the show, haven't we? Let's get an opposition view now and hear from the opposition manager, Kenny Jackett. This is what he had to say speaking about Lincoln.
They've recruited very well in the summer, have a balanced group, and traditionally anyway, Lincoln's a difficult place to go on a Tuesday night. It will be. Minus the crowd, which we've seen at Fratton Park the differences that can make, so it does even it up a little bit, but they're a good side anyway, playing with plenty of confidence, and I'm sure will be a difficult game for us anyway. We want to bounce back after Saturday. We're disappointed with the result. We were on a great run, and Charlton, I thought on that particular day, proved a tough nut to crack. We just couldn't break them down. We had plenty of the ball, we just couldn't get the clear-cut chances or get away, the final pass. Just some of our decisions around the box could have been better, and ultimately then they have a lot of experience to be able to slow the game down and the second half run away for us, and we want to be going up to Lincoln, make sure we're ready, no hangover from Saturday, and make sure we take part in a good game but do everything we can to win.
Lincoln also lost their previous game, so it'll be 2 teams looking to bounce back. What effect do you think that can have on the game?
I think it was a very close game with themselves and Doncaster. It was even, but we've played Doncaster. They're a good side, and some fine details decide those games at that level. And for them anyway, as you say, they'll be wanting to maintain the pace, because they've set a good pace and had a bright start to it, and we'll be encouraged by it. It's similar with ourselves, from the first 10 games, and we've got 17 points, and we'd like it to just be a few more, but we're not far away from where we want to be, and we have to look at the next sort of batch of 10 games now, see if we can get the wins. We do go for games as well, generally. We haven't drawn many, and all of the time we have to keep going for those wins. They're important.
Yeah, always nice to hear complimentary words, isn't it, from an opposition manager. Kenny Jackett's certainly full of praise for the Imps and the job that Michael Appleton is doing so far this season. Gary, interesting to hear him talking about the lack of crowd there. You get the feeling, don't you, that Portsmouth and Portsmouth fans will be missing that as much as anyone else, because they do rely on that atmosphere there at Fratton Park, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And that's not just Fratton Park. Last year when they came to us on the Tuesday night, their fans were phenomenal. By far the best fans I've ever seen at Sinsel Bank. And I think that gives them a lift. It certainly did that night. I mean, their supporters sang all the way through half-time. They had that bell, which rang in my ears for the next 10 or 12 days as well. So I think they're probably suffering more than ever at the lack of fans. So when you think that they've got 17 points and are right in and amongst it, they're probably slightly underachieving. Kenny Jackett is a man under pressure, though. He's a man who some Pompey fans think has probably had his day, but he's a great football man. He's been in the game a long, long time, and his sides always go about football the right way.
Good stuff. Well, you mentioned Portsmouth fans there, Gary. Let's bring one in now. The owner, or the writer, I should say, the blogger of 4-0 Written All Over It, joins us now. A man so elusive, I don't even know his full name.
Sorry, mate. I should have replied to you. Tom Chappell. You can have my full name. Better known for 4-0. Thanks for having me on, gents. How are you both doing?
Yeah, very well. Thank you, Tom. Great to have you on this evening. How would you assess your season so far?
I've heard you speak about us underachieving, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, 17 points from the first 10 games, and Kenny Jackett's just been saying how happy he is with that. I'd say the reason for that is the complete lack of fans that we've got. I mean, Fratton Park is carried on a weekly basis. In the sort of last half an hour of the game, if things aren't quite going our way, then we always rely on the Fratton faithful to get us through that. And thankfully you've mentioned the away support, and that's very gracious of you. That helps us on the road as well. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited for tonight. You boys are absolutely flying, and I think you're having a great season so far, and we've got a lot of respect for Lincoln City. If I was going to give you an answer as a score prediction or how I see tonight going, I wouldn't mind a repeat of the 28th of January. We'll go for a 2-0 away Pompey win.
Yeah, 28th of January, the last time that Lincoln City lost at home, and then on a Tuesday night, that is, I should say. The last time that the Imps lost on a Tuesday night, 28th of January against Portsmouth. The time before then, also Portsmouth. So it doesn't bode too well for the Imps within that regard, does it, Tom? But in terms of Kenny Jackett, I mean, what's the mood like with him? How would you summarise that? Because what we see from the outside is that he does a pretty good job, but it's not always been the case with Portsmouth fans and how they feel about Kenny.
No, not at all. One of the main factors is the fact that we've had now 3 unsuccessful seasons in League One, going into our 4th now, start of the 4th. And I think that's angered a lot of Pompey fans. I will remain impartial on the subject, but I will give you as much of a view as I can. It completely depends. There's an awful lot of fickle Pompey fans within the football club. I think that's the same across the world of football. It depends entirely on the result. I mean, if we win tonight, you won't hear anyone say Kenny Jackett out. If we lose, you might hear people say Kenny Jackett out, and I think that's just the nature of football. That's always the way that he's gone about it. It is a football game. He's been around far too long to kind of. I know he's a man under pressure, and you guys were just saying that just then before you had me on. But yeah, it's very much a 50-50 split, I would say. There's an awful lot of people that say, right, let's give him this season, let's give him a chance, and so far, so good. I mean, we had almost an unbeaten October, 5 out of 6 wins, and the last one was on Saturday. We lost 2-0 to Charlton, which you wouldn't mind losing to Charlton Athletic in the league. If there was a side you're going to lose against, that would probably be one of them. You're also talking about how he gets his team to play, and I think that's a very, very good point. I mean, the work ethic of the players has been evident to see over the last couple of weeks, and that can only come from the manager, and we have to give him credit for that. So yeah, 50-50 split, but it does depend on the match day.
Hi, Tom. I'd just actually like to ask you about a Lincoln City legend. Obviously, Sean Raggett returning to Sincil Bank, not for the first time. I'm interested how he's settling in since his permanent move and how you see that central defence dynamic this evening, which, as I understand it, is a brand new one for you.
Yes, it is a brand new one. Jack Watmore went down injured on Saturday, so he brought on Rasmus Nikolaisen, who starts this evening. I wouldn't kind of get too excited about it from a home perspective because they have played together in the league so far, albeit only a couple of games, and sort of the back end of MK Dons, I think it was, and obviously played with Sean Raggett on Saturday. To answer your question, Sean Raggett's been solid defensively for us. It's similar to Kenny Jackett, where a lot of people see Sean Raggett make the mistakes at the back, cost us goals, and therefore perhaps he shouldn't be in the starting lineup. I would say he's actually been solid defensively. I think he did a lot of great things for Lincoln City, and we're lucky to have him. He's a good defender, and hopefully long may his good form continue in the league.
Tom, what about that front three then? Ronan Curtis, John Marquis, and Marcus Harness as well. I mean, from the outside, once again, that seems pretty strong.
Yeah, it is. It's more turning into sort of a 4-4-2 in the sort of past couple of weeks, Sam. We've played sort of Harness and Marquis up top, which is a dynamic that's worked really well for us, and we've ended up scoring a lot of goals in the last couple of weeks because of it. I would probably bring Michael Jacobs, although he's injured at the minute, into that little mix. He's not going to make an awful lot of difference for tonight, but yeah, I mean, we score a lot of goals, but so do you boys. I mean, you scored in each of your last 5 home games, I believe. So it's going to be an interesting one to see tonight. But yeah, Marcus Harness in particular, I would say, is a contender for one of the best attacking players in the league at the moment. John Marquis obviously has a proven track record with Doncaster. He's been around an awful long time, much like Kenny Jackett. And yeah, it's a really exciting front three, and we've got a great team to back that behind us. So yeah, it's exciting. Hopefully we see a lot of it on display tonight, and yeah, very excited to see how the season goes, because I really feel like we've got a bit of an oomph behind the players at the minute. We're really kind of good run of form, avoiding Saturday obviously, but really good run of form. The front three are performing well, and yeah, hopefully lots of goals tonight.
Yeah, you mentioned Saturday, a good side, aren't they, Charlton? In terms of last season, narrow defeat in the playoffs, as Lincoln City fans, we certainly know all about that indeed. Would playoffs be good enough for Portsmouth, the size of your club, this season, or is it all about the automatics?
I think any Pompey fan would tell you that we want to avoid playoffs at all costs. We've never won a playoff game. I mean, that just tells you all, doesn't it? That's stat alone. The size of a club like Portsmouth, I don't want to blow our own trumpets here, but I think we do at least belong in the Championship, and I think automatics is the place where we're destined for this season, and the place where we'll be striving to get to. But there are a lot of good sides in this league. I mean, Lincoln City is a great example. You've got, Sunderland, Hull, Charlton, Wigan Athletic. All these teams sort of roll off the tongue in a Championship conversation, don't they? So it's going to be tough. We want to aim for automatics, and yeah, as I said, we want to avoid the playoffs at all costs because we've got a horrendous track record in them. So automatics would be fantastic.
Just finally then, Tom, what's more iconic, the Lincoln City siren or the Pompey chimes, the Pompey bells?
Oh, I'm obviously going to go Pompey chimes, but I'm sure you would both disagree. Unfortunately, obviously, we haven't been hearing them much recently, and I'm sure that's the same for you boys. But yeah, we'll go Pompey chimes.
Yeah, we'll let you have that one. Good stuff, Tom. Much appreciated. Enjoy the game this evening. I'm sure you will, and good luck with the blogging as well.
Cheers, gents. You too. Best of luck for the season.
Thank you. Good to hear the thoughts of Tom Chappell there. 4-0 written all over it, the name of his blog, if you want to check out some League One comments. If you like Gary, interesting to hear what he was saying there about Sean Raggett in particular. And it just seems like the Pompey fans haven't quite taken to him maybe the same way that Lincoln fans did.
Potentially. I also think with such a large fan base, you're always going to see those splits a little more. If you're getting 14,000 and 3,000 don't take to a player, they're going to be quite vocal. If you get 3,000 and 1,000 don't take to a player, you perhaps won't hear them as much. We know what Rags is all about. He's functional as a defender. The error prone, we didn't see that as much at National League level, but we haven't seen him play regularly at League One. But you know what you're going to get with him. He's going to be fearless. He's going to be strong. And if he takes a knock, he'll just come back twice as hard. So he's a big player at this level. And it's no surprise to me that he's playing for a promotion contender.
Yeah, I'm conscious that the starting 11 isn't on the ticker there. So what I'll do is I'll read that out for you once more again, because there's a couple of changes for the Imps tonight. If you're only just joining us, there's some significant team news because there's no Lewis Montsma in the starting 11. We spoke live to Lewis at the LNER Stadium earlier. He confirmed that it's a groin strain and that tonight's probably a good opportunity for him to in one sense, take a night off and just let that fully heal. So it's not serious, we believe, but no Lewis Montsma for the Imps tonight. In full, the team is Alex Palmer. Robbie Gotts makes his first start for the Imps. TJ Ioma, Adam Jackson and Sean Rowan make up the back four. George Grant is once again the captain. No Liam Bridcut. Then it is Conor McGrandles and James Jones making up that midfield three. Brennan Johnson, Anthony Scully is in for Harry Anderson, and Tom Hopper starts up front. Ethan Ross, Max Melbourne, Tayo Eden, Theo Archibald, Remy Howarth, Zach Elbazedi, and the aforementioned Harry Anderson, who drops to the bench for a well-earned rest as well. That's your Lincoln City starting 11. Owen Cottam says, congratulations to Robbie Gotts to get his first start for the team tonight. Can't wait to see what he does for the team. And then I hope he scores a cracker for the team to get us a massive 3 points against Pompey. We will miss Montsma. He's an incredible player with great pace and skill with the goals that he has scored so far in the league. Yeah, good to hear your thoughts this evening, Owen. Gary, I know I've asked you about Robbie already, but just for people joining that haven't obviously been able to see Robbie play so far this season, what can we expect?
As I said earlier, energy, application. I think he's going to have really good technique. I think he's probably in a similar sort of vein to the likes of TJ Ioma, obviously schooled at a really good academy in Leeds, highly rated by their under-23s and by Bielsa. Bear in mind, he's not playing in what Bielsa would consider his favourite position. He's, by large, he's a central midfielder, but who can play right back. But then TJ Ioma's been playing right back and a centre back as well, so he's got that flexibility. I'm excited to see him, and I absolutely hope he scores and gets us 3 points, because that would be a phenomenal outcome from the evening.
Let's just continue the theme of talking about the defence just before we wrap up the show then. Sean Rowan, first of all, back in at left back. We know that he comes in and out of the squad predominantly because of his age, and secondly because there's good options elsewhere as well. Michael is blessed in that position.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's also a school of thought that perhaps when you get teams that concentrate on their wide play, we bring Tayo Eden in, whereas we're going to have a Pompey that are 4-4-2, so they've got two going through the centre. And so I think having a fullback that then can tuck in and kind of narrow the game and congest that middle area is really important as well. You kind of forget that Sean's only 17 years old. I mean, he's put some really assured performances in. He's had a little bit of time on the sidelines. He's going to be really hungry to prove that he's worthy of a starting place. Technically, there's no doubt whatsoever that he's got exactly what it takes. So hopefully he'll have a good evening.
And TJ as well. Obviously, we mentioned him before, but a chance for him at centre back as well. You mentioned, actually, I think you picked me up on that, actually, that it's his best position really at centre back. But of course, we've seen him play so well at wing back for the Imps this season.
Yeah, I mean, TJ's one of the players I go on about. I've got two or three who seem to be my favourites that I juggle every week. But I really rate TJ. I think he looks comfortable and assured wherever he plays. Bear in mind, he made his Football League debut on the same day as Sean Rowan. He's gone on to be an established first-team player. I think he's the only player that started every game this season for us. The only minutes he's missed was when he came off in one of the recent home games. I believe it was Bristol Rovers, but I might be wrong. So he's been superb. I've no doubt whatsoever that he will be more than assured at centre half. He's got a tough evening. Marcus Harness, as Tom said, is for me one of the best attacking players at this division. He's quick, he's direct, he's experienced, he scored goals. John Marquis was hitting 20-25 goals a season for Doncaster. So TJ and Adam Jackson have got their work cut out keeping those two quiet this evening.
Gary, I get the impression that tonight will be quite a tight game. What are your score predictions for it?
I want to stop doing score predictions, because when I say we're going to win, we lose. And when I'm pessimistic, we always get a good result.
Well, you know what to do then, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I think it's going to be really tough. I'm actually going to say I think we will get beat tonight. I think we may lose 1-0. I really hope I'm wrong.
And if that goes to form for Gary Hutchinson's pre-match predictions, you can expect 3 points for the Imps at the LNER Stadium this evening. Gary, great to have you on the show. Once again, we'll be looking forward to speaking to you for the Forest Green Rovers match at the weekend. I'm sure there'll be plenty to discuss, plenty to look back on as well. So many great games and highlights against Forest Green Rovers, and of course, Mark Cooper in charge for them. Thanks very much, and do enjoy the game, Gary.
Thank you very much, Sam. Cheers.
Great to see Gary Hutchinson as ever. Right, of course, you can get your match pass by going to www.weareimps.com/iFollow. If you do so now, you'll be able to hear the dulcet tones of Michael Horton, Steve Thompson, or it may well be Rob Makepeace tonight as well. But do get your match pass now. And there's a fans forum on Thursday night as well. I'll be hosting it. Clive Nates, Jay Wright, Jez George will be there, Michael Appleton as well, and maybe even a couple of first team players for you. That's 7 o'clock, so do tune into that on the club's YouTube, Twitter and Facebook channels. Do enjoy the game this evening, and fingers crossed the Imps can return back to the summit of the League One table. Bye for now.